Hello, Aligned Minds, and welcome back to The Voice Within. Today, we're going to talk about excuses, or should I say, the stories that free us from responsibility. We all have them, those perfect stories which we make in our mind to approve the things we don't do, so we don't feel bad about ourselves for not doing it. So we make up the story to cover up lack of action. I find that facing our excuses or story we say to ourselves was one of the hardest things that I did in my personal development journey, the journey of coming back to myself, the journey of understanding myself better, the journey of becoming better me. Because once you strip down all of the stories you say to yourself, it stays pure responsibility, it stays choice point, it stays the decision either to make or decisions that we didn't make. I was looking in all of the excuses that I was making in my life. I cannot set the boundaries with my son because if I do, he will say this and he will think this and I will crush his identity. I cannot set boundaries in my marriage because if I do this, then this will happen. I cannot set boundaries here because if I do this, people will misunderstand me, and so on and so forth. And resentment was building up because I was not setting the boundaries. I was becoming bitter with myself, thinking that everybody is doing wrong things to me, while actually I never spoke about the things which are acceptable in my presence. If you would look into your life, you would see that you know already what needs to change. You exactly know what it's supposed to be changed. Either it's your health habits, your workout habits. Do you have them? Are you moving, not moving? You know exactly what you're expecting from your husband, from your children, from your family, from your friends, in your work environment. You know exactly what it needs to change for you to feel better. But we love to lie to ourselves that we don't know, because as long as we don't know, we don't have to change nothing. And we avoid to say that we know, because when we say we know, we have to act on it. This is why I say this was one of the hardest things that I faced in my journey, because once I stripped down, once I make them naked and I removed all of the excuses, it stayed pure responsibility. It stayed, okay, what now? There is no more excuses. There is no more stories that I say to myself. So what now? Now, either I move or don't move, it's basically my own responsibility. And if I don't move, then I feel shame and guilt because I didn't move, because now I know that there is no more excuses that I can make and I cannot blame it on other people, so it's basically everything on me. But at the same time, stripping down all of my excuses gave me so much power and so much magic in my life when I realized how much I am able to change in my life when I stop pointing the fingers and making up the stories why something is not possible for me. We often have fixed idea about how certain things supposed to be done. And if they are not done in that way, then we're not going to do it at all. If we take example of workout, if working out in the gym 1 hour is not possible for me, that means I cannot work out at all. How crazy is this? Can I walk? Can I work out 10 minutes in the house? Can I dance? Can I do something just to move my body? But we fix ourselves on the certain way of the things need to be done. And if they are not done perfectly the way we have it in our head, we're not going to do it at all. To cover this, we make up stories why we cannot do it in the first place. Oh, you see, I cannot go to the gym because I have a kid and I'm alone with kid in the house, and I cannot go to the gym 1 hour while I will leave my child, and blah, 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 blah. We explain to ourselves why we cannot make action, and it becomes like our truth. It becomes like so logical. Yeah, of course, who would question one mother who says that she cannot leave the child to go to the gym? But we never look into the possibilities, all other package of possibilities that we could pick up from to actually remove excuses and follow on the things that we know that we're supposed to do. So we already know what needs to change, and we know it for a while. Maybe we know all of our life. But every time we get close to doing something about it, we create story. A smart, very convincing story that tells us why that isn't right time for us, why that is not possible for us. And it sounds very valid in the moment. We are busy, we have stressful season, we don't want to rush. But underneath, we are just avoiding responsibility of taking the action. In motherhood, those stories can sound like, I don't want to be hard on my child, he's still small, he's still young. But meanwhile, we are abandoning every boundary we said we're gonna hold. In the friendship, maybe, we say, oh, my friend is going through a lot of things, I don't want to add more pressure. But underneath, we are carrying the weight of the both sides of the relationships. Maybe in the marriage, we say, oh, this is the way he is, or we've been together for so long, it's just a phase. But the phase is lasting for the 3 years and we are still swallowing it and shrinking to keep the peace. All these stories, they sound so real, so gentle. They sound like we are being caring and thoughtful, but what they are really doing is they are buying us time while we keep living a life that is draining us, while we keep building resentfulness for not acting, not moving on the truth that we already know. And what is happening underneath? We know what we're supposed to do. We are not confused. We know exactly what actions will resolve our problems, what actions will bring us closer to what we want to see in our life. But we are scared. Scared of what happens when we finally say it out loud. Scared of how others will respond when we stop making ourselves easier to love, the nice one. So we tell ourselves stories that give us pure permission to delay the actions. And we do it so often that it becomes like part of our identity. And I'm sure that you have some friends or family or whoever you have in your life where they have some difficulties in their life, they have some problems and they come to you, they tell you the story and you can see that they are making excuses. You can see thousands of options that they can make to change their life, to overcome that obstacle. Whichever side you try to give them the option and tell them, but what if you do this? And what if you do this? And what about this? They say, no, but it's not work for me. No, but this is not how the things are done. But they will not understand me. But my husband will not understand me. And you can see clearly that they're making up the story to delay action. This is what we do to ourselves. But when we're talking about ourselves, when it's coming from inside, it's harder to notice it because it's our own story. It's our own protection from possible rejection. But for me, the turning point to strip down my excuses was the moment when I asked myself, is this the way I want to live my life? If I am 90 years old now and I look back on my life, will I be proud about all of my excuses? Will I be happy with the way I lived my life, with the way I was playing small, being scared, to don't stir the pot, to don't change something, to don't become greater and more and louder and bolder so the people don't reject me, so they don't feel uncomfortable with my becoming. This was kind of like wake-up call for me when I realized that I don't want to spend the rest of my life managing pain of other people and my own pain. I want to choose something better. I want to step into the responsibility. I want to mature. I want to step into womanhood. I want to be creator of my own life, not being reactive and hiding behind the excuses and behind the stories that I say to myself why something is not possible for me. This is where I had to face my excuses and see that all of them are just made up stories in my head. They are not really real truth or real things. And even if they are, even if there is real circumstances in life which are preventing us from doing exactly what we want, there is always variations. Like I gave example of the gym, of doing the workout. There is always variations of what we can do. When I started my podcast, I thought I had to have perfect microphone, perfect room, perfect environment, perfect timing, perfect everything to record it. But as I was pushing myself more and more to let go of the perfection and step into the consistency, creating discipline and creating confidence, I saw that actually there is space for everything. I'm recording right now this podcast episodes on the floor of my master bedroom because it's the most quiet place and the place where I get so much creativity to speak about, and I record it here. Later later on I edit it, I polish a little bit recording, and I just let it go in the world. Why does it matter? When I stopped focusing on only way that things can be done, which is the created story in my head, and I start focusing on the outcome, on creating consistency, creating evidences of discipline, creating evidences for my confidence, everything become easier. But I had to remove all of the stories I was saying to myself about how the thing's supposed to be done. So this podcast episode is not here to make you feel guilty or to shame yourself about not doing the things or making excuses. But this podcast episode is here kind of to shake you, to wake you up, to understand that there is always variations of the things. There is always different way that things can be done. And as long as you see it, as long as you step into your responsibility, you will create movement and you will create some real changes in your life. But as long as you're hiding behind the stories you say to yourself, everything will stay the same and you will just be resentful and bitter because you didn't step up for yourself. So my question for you for end of this podcast episode is, are you finally ready to stop hiding behind smart reasons, smart excuses? Are you finally ready to step into maturity, womanhood, to be the woman who leads herself in life and stop pointing the fingers on other people why something is not possible for you? Are you finally ready to create the life that will support you, will support your family, the life that when you look back in 40, 50 years, God give us to live long, when you look back, you say, I'm so proud at myself. I'm so proud that I made this decision. I'm so proud that I listened that podcast from that Arva and I decided to change something for myself. I wish you beautiful rest of the day. Until the next Sunday, stay blessed and choose yourself. Bye.